Welcome to today's video where I'm going to be breaking down my recent short film, The Widow, and just kind of like a director's commentary kind of discussion. And as always, if you haven't seen it, link in the description, and go check it out. Alright, so today I wanted to do something just a little bit different than what I normally do, just because I didn't get as much behind the scenes footage as I normally would have wanted, just because this film was really spontaneous. It was just really last minute, and I just got all my resources and things together, and we just kind of made it. So today I'm going to actually jump on the computer and kind of just watch the film and just kind of commentate on it and just talk about my process of what I was thinking when I was making this film or doing those shots and all that kind of good stuff. So let's go ahead and just jump right into the computer. All right, so The Widow. Go all the way to the front here. So this shot is actually a stock footage shot. I didn't capture this, and I have a few subscriptions to several different sites that do stock footage, but I thought this was just a good establishing shot to really kind of show where the setting of this film is taking place. Kind of looks like just an apartment, you know, in the middle of the city. And even though I'm not in the city, this location kind of looks like it. It looks just like a big empty apartment. So I really love these shots. You know, you guys know me if you watch my films. I love opening with a nice slider shot, kind of revealing the location and setting the ambience with some sound design. So yeah, so that's just a little thing that I love doing. Now this shower sequence I actually cut a lot because I had a few peers and other people look at it and give me some feedback saying that it kind of dragged on too long. And after kind of looking back at it, it kind of did drag on a little too long. So now in the final version, because it took about 1 minute and 20 seconds to get to that shot that you're seeing right here. So now it only takes roughly about 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, so about 40 seconds. Now, so I established my setting, I kind of set the tone, the atmosphere with the sound design and the setting establishing shots. And then now we got kind of the first beat here, right when the door, it shows this door and you have that bass hit. And that's why I want you to wear the headphones. So I did a lot of cutting though. I originally, after this shot, I had a shot of her feet and you see like the water and the soap kind of running down into the drain. Thought it was a really cool looking image, but it just didn't make sense for the pacing. It wasn't really needed. I probably could have cut it earlier on as she did the shampoo, but it just didn't feel necessary. It's not an integral part of the film to see, you know, the soap running down the drain and stuff. And then I even had a whole different shot planned out. We actually captured it and it looked really great, but it didn't feel right for the pacing. And it was a shot where I was inside the shower with her and I was kind of like a close-up on her, a medium close-up, and then I panned all the way into the door. So it revealed the door, but from inside the shower, and it was out of focus. And you just saw the creature standing at the end of the hallway. I really liked that shot, but I killed it just for a few main reasons. One, it ruined the pacing, and two, I think when you see the creature so early, and so you see the face so early, it takes away the impact later on. So that's just a decision that I made going into the film when I was editing it. I got everything the day of production, just recorded everything that I think I would want on my shot list, but in the editing room, I kind of just made that decision. I think it worked out for the better, just because it did feel like it was ruining the pacing pretty bad. It took like a minute 30 just to get out of the shower. Cool audio transition here too, I think. I think it's kind of cool. I was trying to do something kind of like Alfred Hitchcock does with some stuff where he has like a weird audio transition. And I know the sounds aren't really related because that's a tea kettle like boiling. But, you know, she's taking a hot shower, it's steamy, so I felt like that kind of fit. I was just trying to get creative and really transition a passage of time. I always have a problem with that in my films where if I want to do like a jump ahead, like cut of time, instead of doing the typical time lapse or seeing the sun go all the way down or something like that, I like sometimes just doing a nice hard cut. But transitioning it with like sound in some way, or doing even maybe a visual transition in some way to show the passages of time. So hopefully this one worked out for me. I could just trying to get creative and just trying to figure out a best way to do it. But also with doing this audio transition, I was trying to condition my audience to know that this film can get pretty loud. So later on, when the scares and all the creepy stuff happens, they know the volume that it can get to. So it's almost conditioning them, getting them ready for when that's about to happen, which is going to be happening pretty soon. So, and then here is coming up is pretty much our second beat of the film, where she sees the door move at the end. So I wanted a motivation for her to leave the shower, and it felt right to get something where she didn't see 100% what it was. Because obviously if she was just standing there and looked and saw the face just at the door, you probably would take a different approach to this. But since she didn't see it, she just thought maybe her boyfriend got home or something like that. You know, and that's why she's like, hey babe, is that you? And she didn't really fully see what it was. She just heard a sound. So this gives motivation for her to leave the shower. So I was trying to get that to flow in the story instead of just, you know, how they do in horror movies where they just go down a hallway or do something stupid when the obvious answer to it would be to not do that. But that was my kind of way of doing it. And she never goes fully down the hallway, so not super cliche, hopefully. But this part here is really where I just let the sound design try to speak for itself. And earlier when I was saying I was cutting the beginning of it really tight to get to the scary parts, once I get to these shots hold for a lot longer than the other ones. And that's to help draw out the suspense. So in the beginning I was cutting everything tight just to get to the point, since it's not an important integral part of the film to really see her showering for so long. But then once we get to this part, it makes more sense to then let these shots kind of just breathe a little bit and let the sound design and the environment and the atmosphere really fill in to really get the audience in her shoes. And hopefully that was the moment in the film where it really creeped you out, just because that is setting up and trying to earn the jump scare for later on at the end of the film. So again, with that sequence, I just tried to really let the sound design speak for itself and just let it kind of fill in all of the silence, and all you're doing is hearing her cry, which I think is a very morbid kind of thing you don't want to hear. You don't want to hear someone crying, especially a woman, and it sounds like she's in pain, and it just doesn't sound pleasing. So hopefully those emotions started overcoming you, where you just started feeling kind of weird and queasy in a certain way. But hopefully that worked. And I love those type of shots for all you horror fans out there, like 90s, even some early 2000s horror where they do that when they have like a POV of the creature and it like speed ramps and comes at you. That's kind of what I was trying to do there. I just love those type of shots, so I wanted to do my own, interpretation of that. So again, going back to how I cut this sequence is cut a lot more quick, just because now I want the feeling, it's very chaotic. I want to have that chaotic feeling at this point in time in the film. So if we even go frame by or shot by shot here, so we see she closes the door, and then we see just a quick reaction, right? Which I wish was a little bit better, but being not a professional actress or someone that acts, it's it can get by. But go to the POV shot, and we're hearing all of the sound design, her scratching at the door and trying to open it, and boom, right when we cut to that shot, we see the light bulb pop. So it's building, it's part of the climax, it's building, and things are just getting worse. They're just progressively getting worse, and they're not getting any better. So now she's in complete darkness, and I'm still letting the chaos of the sound design kind of just do the work. And then we have this close-up on the door handle just to show kind of the conclusion to that chaotic mess. And then we transition right here into the scare at the end, which is definitely a jump scare, and but I think it's well earned, at least in my opinion. So I know in the horror community, jump scares, there's a lot of opinions about it. Does it belong in horror? There's just a lot of different opinions about it. I'll tell you what mine is. I like jump scares. I think they do have their place in horror films, for sure. But I think, like how I said earlier, I do think you need to earn the jump scare. If you just start using them like kind of willy-nilly in your film, your audience is going to get immune to it, and it's just not going to be even effective for the film as a whole. So let alone your audience is just going to get tired of it and get bored. But when you have hopefully a good build-up, a good climax, even just a drawn-out sequence of suspense, you can earn that jump scare. You guys know this jump scare's coming at the film. You can feel it by the sound design, the way she kind of dips out of frame. You know it's coming, but you kind of want it. You know, at least I did. You know, in films that I've watched, I know when jump scares are coming sometimes, but I'm like, yes, I want it. Boom! And when the bass hits in the theater, you're just like, you want that. Sometimes the experience of a jump scare is something that you want, even if you are expecting it. But it has to be properly earned. At least in my opinion, it does. So that's what I was trying to do here with the hallway sequence. You kind of got that weird kind of feeling with the with her kind of getting bigger, and just that weird face at the end of the hall. So that was hopefully that weird unsettling feeling. And then you have the chaos and the climax of just all of this different sounds coming in, and her trapped in this room, and then the light bulb goes out, so now she's in complete darkness. And it just really hopefully builds up to that ending part where you just see the face. So hopefully that worked. And I did a few different cuts of this too, and I had some feedback from a few people, like Ryan Godoy. I did a podcast with him, so check out the podcast, by the way. Check that out. I sent him the film, and he gave me a good critique of saying too that the film needed to feel a little tighter, but also the creature needed to be a little bit brighter, because it didn't feel like a good pop out. Just because it was so dark in my original cut, because I was trying to hide a lot of the details of the mask and stuff. But when it pops out of the darkness and you can't really see it, it's not as like impactful. So I just brightened it up a little bit with the highlight slider in Premiere, and I just brought down the blacks just a smidge, just so it really preserved and kind of hid those details that I wanted to hide. And I think it worked really good with all of the sound design elements and kind of layering different effects and things of that nature in there. So I think it really worked out well. So, and I really wanted it to feel like it emerged out of the darkness instead of just like a bland cut and it just appears on screen. So I really wanted it to kind of almost smack you in the face, per se. So, but yeah, so that is my film, The Widow. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video where I kind of just talked a little bit and just, you know, dived into my thought process when I made this film. When I watch like David Sandberg and like Film Riot and all these other filmmaking channels, I love when the directors and whoever made the actual piece kind of just does a commentary and just talks about what their thought process was, because I think that's the most valuable information when you can really dive into someone's mentality of what they were trying to accomplish and how they did it when they were making their film or shooting a scene or something like that. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and if you did, hit that like button and subscribe for more horror content, because it is coming your way, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.